Swiss Muslim fined 178 pounds for saying Allahu Akbar. A Muslim man, Orhan E, said Allahu Akbar in public and was fined 178 pounds. He used the phrase after spotting a friend while walking. He was approached by an off-duty police officer who told him his quote-unquote loud and clear use of the expression could have caused people to fear an imminent terror attack. He said he was manhandled by officers. And this incident happened in May of last year, but he has just come forward with this story following a recent incident in which another Muslim man was allegedly punched by a Swiss border guard after using the same phrase.
Right. So I don't know if so Allahu Akbar means a whole bunch of different things to different people. For a lot of people that are in Western countries, it means the phrase that you shout out before something goes boom, right? But technically, it just means God is the greatest, right? I mean, this is stupid. I think this fine is really stupid. Unless do you know the exact context? He was just saying Allahu Akbar in the street. Why was he saying Allahu Akbar in the street?
He was saying it, as how when one Muslim sees another one, a practicing Muslim, they greet each other with that Allahu Akbar.
You don't greet people with Allahu Akbar.
I've seen people greet them. It's like saying, like when you recognize them, it's like God is great, Yeah,
you don't. It's not a greeting. It's more like some.
Well, it's a proclamation. It's a statement.
Sometimes you use it in exchange for like wow, or like sometimes it could mean holy shit, or sometimes like wow, that's incredible, right? Sometimes it's but you don't use it as a greeting. I mean, this fine is stupid, and I hope a whole bunch, all the right-wing audience that we have, and we do have a lot of right-wing fans, which is good. We have left-wing fans and we have right-wing fans, but a whole bunch of people that are complaining about the fact that shitting on Islam seems to be censored all the time. If they are for free speech and they are for people being able to say what they want, I hope they're not biased, and they would also see this as a anti-free speech issue, right? Because this is definitely against free speech. If somebody is getting fined for saying Allahu Akbar, I mean,
well, I don't know. I kind of disagree with that, because I mean, at the same time, it has developed this connotation that I mean, for instance, if I was in a crowded spot and I heard somebody yell Allahu Akbar, I would not be looking around to see who said it. I would seek safety.
What, really?
Yes, absolutely. Just because of the connotation that it has. For people who have never been in an Islamic culture or around people who use the term frequently, the only connotation that we have for that term is something negative. It's like yelling fire in a movie theater. It creates panic within people. So I can't see where that would cause civil unrest in people. By hearing that term, especially people who have who live in an area where Islamic extremism.
Wait, so are you defending this fine then? No,
Not necessarily. I'm defending his justification for the fine.
I don't think it's justified at all. I mean, if to me Allah Akbar means like what the fuck, and you want to charge me for that, and you were like, well, to me it sounds like terroristy, I'm gonna be like, well, fuck you. I don't care what it sounds to you. To me, it sounds like I'm just saying what the fuck, or saying wow, or saying just being like, I mean, this is stupid. This shouldn't be fined. But by the way, Theo is telling us, thank you, Theo, for reference, 178 pounds is equivalent to 228 American dollars and 77 cents. Well, Theo, I'm in Canada, so that doesn't help. Jim, go on.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that. I mean, would you use that same defense if you were in a theater and you yelled fire and somebody got trampled because everybody was rushing to the exit? And I mean, would you defend your freedom of speech and say, well, I didn't mean fire like a burning fire. I meant fire like the movie was Fire. Yeah, like it was a good movie.
Okay, but that's stupid. Who would
yeah, it's stupid.
No, but no. Okay, first of all, if if there was this fire scene, and so first of all, you should be yelling at theaters anyways. I mean, you should be kicked out of the theater if you're yelling, no matter what's destroying. It's not. It's a false analogy. Okay, we if it was fire on the screen and I was yelling fire and people thought that like people know what I was referring to, that doesn't matter. I'm just saying that just because to you something means something. Okay, I was raised as a Muslim most of my life. Is it most of my life? I think I passed that half of my life. So to me, Allahu Akbar for a very long time didn't mean anything terroristy. In fact, to me, it seemed more. I hated it because whenever I heard Allahu Akbar, it means cartoon time is over. Because I heard the azan prayers, it usually cuts right in the middle of the cartoon, and the azan starts, and it starts with Allahu Akbar, and that means my mom starts yelling. She could tell that the cartoon is over, and I had to go start doing my homework. So. Different people, to them, this means the Allah Akbar brings up different feelings and different memories and different things to them. But if to you it makes it, for you, if it means a certain thing, I don't think it's if it's our people's responsibility to police their language, just because it means something specific to you. I mean, again, I'm not defending Islam here. I just think that we shouldn't be policing people's speech just because of the way you perceive it.
Okay, well, but not just about how the individual perceives it, but what about having a law because of how society perceives it? Like, for instance, in Sweden, they had that Stockholm bombing where 2 bombs went off in 2010. In 2017, somebody drove a truck into 5 people and killed them. And these were all Islamic extremism. In Sweden, terrorism is a real problem. So, would you still defend that if you were in a culture that was sensitive to the term? I understand that you grew up in one where your perception of the phrase isn't sensitive.
I'm actually consistent on this. Like, I think a lot of anti-Islam people that are thinking that Muslims are too sensitive when their religion gets criticized, I support them on that. But this is also something that if you think people are being sensitive over a phrase, you should also be like, well, fuck people's sensitivities. Like, you should be consistent on both sides on this. I don't care you're sensitive on this topic. This is something that people say all the time. And if from not just Muslims, but people maybe even from a Muslim background, I don't know. So people might even shout it out if they're scared. It's just like in a plane, if there's a turbulence or if they see something shocking, they might just say it. It just might come out because that's what they're used to say.
So what you're saying is if somebody says that on a plane, if somebody just says Allahu Akbar after they hit some turbulence, panicking or whatever, are you saying that the air marshals should not bother with it? They should pay no attention to it because it's just a phrase?
I wouldn't blame them for just the way I wouldn't blame the Muslim for saying Allahu Akbar because that's just a reflex what you say as a shock. I wouldn't also blame the air marshal to be like, what the hell is, like, I understand both of their reflexes at that point, right? But if you go out, this is not a reflex. Giving somebody a fine is like, oh, I just slipped out, a fine, I just gave you a fine, right? If after the incident, then the air marshal like blacklisted this Muslim for not, or put a fine for saying Allahu Akbar on a plane to this Muslim. In the heat of the moment, I would understand why the air marshal would be nervous, right? But if after everything is calmed down, if this Muslim guy gets a fine for saying Allahu Akbar on a plane, then that would be stupid, I think.
Yeah, and I agree. That's what I'm saying. I don't necessarily agree with the fine, but I understand why.
Yeah, but the fine is the entire point because the fine is something that they thought about and they thought it's not something that they did at the heat of the moment. You actually there's paperwork involved. They actually have to think about it, and they still thought this was a good idea to fine a guy for saying Allahu Akbar. That's stupid.
Well, I also think that people should take into account their surroundings and the context whenever they use phrases like that. People who use the phrase Allahu Akbar regularly are aware of the negative connotations that it has, and they are careful to use them only in context. So you also have to be aware that some people are just going to use this just to incite disturbance. They're just going to use this just to provoke people's sensitivities.
As a person that has burned the Quran and videoed it and put it on YouTube, just because people told me it's too sensitive and you shouldn't be doing it, I might actually go out and say, if people start telling me that you should be not saying Allahu Akbar because people are sensitive about it, I might actually go out and also say Allahu Akbar, just because, you know, just because people are saying they're sensitive about some. I mean, no, wait, I don't want to get shot.
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe there needs to be some desensitizing, but the fact of the matter is that far number people see a negative connotation of that phrase than people see a positive connotation, and there's a reason for that. So it is not up to people like me to fix that perception. It is up to the people who are using that term to correct that.
Let's move on. Top comment is by John, is saying, being atheist doesn't mean that I'm against freedom of speech. This is wrong. I agree. Carolina is saying, do atheists here really love or find it funny to find people for their beliefs? Well, judging by the top comment, I don't think they do, Carolina. I don't believe in any God, but I find it ridiculous to ban people for believing something. This is disgusting. Islamophobia, that's what it is. Oh, I was with you, Carolina, until the very end. It's not Islamophobia at all. Islamophobia is a stupid term. I agree that we shouldn't be policing people's speech. I disagree with the fine, but please don't use the word Islamophobia. Maybe try using anti-Muslim bigotry. Islamophobia is nonsense. There's nothing wrong with being against Islam. Let me see anything. You check the YouTube live chat. Again, some people. So when people, it's funny to me when people say like, "Oh, I'm leaving." Well, leave. I don't care if you're. Yeah, go on.
Theo Mackey says, ultimately, I wouldn't blame caution, but that's no reason to fine someone for speech. This sets precedent. There will be people who will try to get people arrested over speech. And then he said, don't you mean Allah Akbar? No.
Pablo in the Facebook live chat is saying, you sound reasonable and well thought out. I'm gonna assume he's talking about me. This is my first time listening. I like to listen to you more. Thank you. That's very sweet.
You're welcome. I know you're talking to me.
Okay, go. All right.
Bernita KT in the YouTube chat says, Armin, in Spain a few months ago, a group of evangelists entered the metro and they started yelling to the people that they were sinners and they're going to hell.
Is that about
panicked and a woman was injured? The evangelists were put in jail and fined.
Well, I have to. You can't. I have to see the incidents. Okay, like even the word Allah Akbar, right? You could, or even the word like, okay, forget Allah Akbar. Like, if I say in the name of Jesus, okay. Or if I go into the street in the middle of a crowd and like, in the name of Jesus Christ, or something like that, and people panic and run in every corner, I guess...
Why would people panic, Armin? And when people scream, in the name of Jesus, there's never a boom after it.
No, but I guess it's about the way you say things, right? Like,
no, it's not about the way you say things. It's about the connotation that usually when you hear Allahu Akbar,
okay, what if you were coming right out of an abortion clinic, and I know it's not equivalent, yes, Islamic terrorist attack is astronomically higher than abortion bombing or whatever, right? But you heard somebody yell that out, right? No, it's not a good example.
But that's not what happens, though. That doesn't happen.
Right. Okay, but in the example in the live chat, I have to see the situation. Like, I might be against those people being arrested. If they were just telling people that they're going to go to hell, they should be able to tell. I mean, how aggressive were they in approaching people? Are they just holding pamphlets and telling people, hey, do you want to know why you're going to go to hell? Or were they in their people's faces and shouting at them? Because there's a line that you cross that is all of a sudden becomes harassment, right? And if it's harassment, then you have laws against harassment, right? Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like that's really a false equivocation. I feel like that you can't really compare somebody proselytizing Christianity to somebody yelling Allahu Akbar, something that is usually followed by an explosion.
No, it's not usually followed by an explosion. People,
whenever you look at it in context, in Western context, or even in Swedish context, I mean that's usually the case. Muslims
in Sweden say Allahu Akbar all the time, and it's usually not followed by an explosion. Again, I'm not an Islam apologist. Let's move on. Next comment. Read comment. Facebook, YouTube comments.
Let's see, next YouTube comment. Muscal says,
this is weird, by the way, because usually I'm on usually people that are more left-leaning, they're on your side, and on our YouTube, on our page, and the right-leaning people are more sometimes on my side. I think today is the other way around, but go on.
Let's see. Muscal says, is it Allahu Akbar? Yes, to my understanding. If I'm wrong, correct me on that, Armin.
No, it's Allahu Akbar, yeah.
And that's the last one.
Okay, let me see if there's anything. Yelling Allahu Akbar incites fear. You know, some Muslims like that. Some Muslims enjoy the fact that Allahu Akbar. Some Muslims hate that because they're like, oh, why are you so scared of Muslims? But I also met Muslims that enjoy the fact that they can, just by a simple phrase, they can cause terror in the hearts of the infidels.
Atheists around the world are choosing to give voice to their opinions and no longer hide their lack of religious beliefs. In some cases, this public declaration of atheism can lead to backlash from friends and family. In other areas, it can even be physically dangerous to admit to atheism. Atheist Republic wants to give atheists a louder voice. Let's show them that we're listening, no matter which language they speak. If we reach 500 patrons, we will be able to translate our shows into Arabic, Spanish, Persian, Portuguese, Malay, Bengali, Urdu, Hindi, and other languages. Help us get there at patreon.com/atheistrepublic.